twin 6-year-old boys and a 1-year-old. So for her to take care of that, and it is a that, it's not easy, makes my life as a coach so much easier. And I thank you. To all the coaches' wives, what you go through, taking care of the house, taking care of the family, feeding the family, doing everything you need so that your husbands can coach means an absolute world to us. You ask these guys, I'm sure they'll echo it. And we thank you to all the wives of our coaches. Thank you. Then the boosters, specifically Mary, Amy, Jamie, and Carla, thank you ladies for everything you did this year. From the banquet to feeding us to food to getting the coaches those quarter zip, short sleeve jackets to just being there for the boys when they come home to organizing everything. You know, I have parents that were board members for years. People don't know the hours that you have to put in to make this successful, and it's not forgotten or looked down on. I truly appreciate what you four ladies specifically and everyone that was with the boosters through selling the tickets and all the other fundraising. Thank you very much. First year running the show, being the head coach, having assistant coaches who you can trust and can just rely on is huge. And having these guys behind me, thank you guys. Every one of you, from Coach Bierman, who's known me since I was probably 10 years old, to Coach Temp, who you may not have all met Coach Temp, but I can guarantee everyone that has been at a football game of ours has heard Coach Temp. To Coach Golden, who I'll throw, just got married like 2 months ago, and then to Coach Kavanaugh and to Coach Maley, which I want to point out, Coach Kavanaugh and Coach Maley are volunteer coaches, meaning they don't get paid for the hours they put in, which is an absolute miracle how much you have done for us. And the work that they do is invaluable. To do it out of, quote unquote, the goodness of their heart is absolutely amazing. And I thank you, too, especially for the time that you put in. Again, my players, first year, appreciate you guys. I see you all the time, so thank you guys. Cheerleaders, again, I see most of you ladies in school. Where are the cheerleaders? They're around, a couple here. Thank you ladies for the support. Abby, I know you're here. I saw you at some point somewhere in the back. Thank you for helping out Friday nights with the water and the balls and running things around. We had a score of middle school guys and younger players help be ball boys. Thank you guys. Again, film, I know, was already mentioned once. Paul, the hours that you put in filming most of our games, and then Doug Kellerman filming a couple of the games. Thank you guys for doing that. That is a very behind the scenes but absolutely vital role for the football team, which is very much appreciated. And then our statistician, John Patricic, thank you. It is something that finding someone willing to do stats is not easy. Having someone that actually does it well is such an added bonus. Thank you too for that. Seniors, you guys, thank you. You, here, you know, it's a tough spot having a new coach your senior year. I've been there. You know, finding yourselves, finding a program that's in transition. It is not an easy position to be in. But you guys have laid a foundation on expectations, on how to do things. You've led this team through a ton of adversity. It was not an easy season as far as any number of things could have set us back. And to have you guys come every day is greatly appreciated with the foundation you helped lay for these younger guys. So anytime you guys want to come back, you have an open invitation, just let me know. Now, be careful with how you use it, Noah. So the coaches are going to each talk about one senior. So I'm going to go first. So I got Noah. So Noah joined us this year, his first year playing varsity football. He had been in the weight room since, I'm sure, 6th grade, 7th grade, working out. He is what I would classify as your classic gym rat. He loves the weight room. Everything to do with working out, he's into it. He loves the workout to the point where we'd be in fitness class on Friday before a game. I'd have to tell him, no, you're not allowed to lift today. You have a game tonight. Noah joined us expecting to play tight end and defensive end. And with our numbers, I went to him 2 weeks, 3 weeks into the season and said, hey, I need you to move. I need you to play guard. And for people that haven't been asked this, you may not think it's a big deal to move positions mid-season. It's like it happens. Well, to move from one of glory, catching passes and having your name put in the paper, to an unsung position on the offensive line at guard is not an easy task to ask a player to do. And to Noah's credit, there was never any argument, never any, oh really, he was up for it. He knew it was the best thing for the team. He jumped right into it without any qualms. You did it, everything we asked you to do, moving down to that position, which was not easy. It's a hard thing to do, and I appreciate it. Now, there's a little story I want to tell about Noah that's not really football related. I have been in the school, teaching at the school, seeing these guys. You get to see them outside of football. You get to see their real personality. So, for anybody that knows Noah, you know that he likes to talk a lot, and very much likes to talk. His sophomore year, I was blessed to have him in health class, and we try to do PowerPoint presentations, things like that. At times we need to be quiet. Noah was struggling with being able to be quiet, so I had to come up with some sort of plan to help, him rein in his appropriate comments. I will give him that much. They were mostly appropriate, but just an extra amount. So what I had to do was every day he'd walk in, and when he'd have a seat, I'd walk over and I'd put 5 paper clips down on his desk. Now what these paper clips were essentially, they were his tokens. Anytime he wanted to say something or have a comment in class, he would have to turn over a paper clip. And when he was out of paper clips, he theoretically was no longer allowed to have comments. It worked for a time, but as you know, Noah is Noah. So it worked for a time, but then he always found a way to justify another question. But it was a pleasure, both in school, and I still see you twice a day. I'll see you again. So, Noah, thank you. And all of you seniors, thank you for this season. I think we're just going to go down the line with the coaches for each of the seniors, and then if any of you guys, when it was said appropriate, gentlemen, appropriate, you know what appropriate means.
Slip and slide. Before I talk about my senior, first of all, for those of you that don't know the story, I coached Coach Knabb when he was in high school. Not only did I coach Coach Knabb when he was in high school, but he was a ball boy on Friday nights when he was in grade school and middle school. I also coached with him, and was very, very proud to work with him this year, and I'm very proud of him. He did well this year. My senior is Alex. They're glad I'm not talking about them. I thought of many stories to tell about Alex. I'm surprised you're wearing a hat tonight because you wore more product than I've ever seen.
Take it off, Frank. Take it off.
Also, another story I thought of, I could go into detail, but I won't, but Coach Temp made all the receivers, they wear wristbands with all the patterns on them. I can remember, I think it was for the first game, Brownsville game, we're trying to fit it into your thing, and we couldn't get it all on there, and I told you, I said, okay, that's all right, I'll tell Coach Temp not to call those patterns. But most often, when I think of Alex, is inevitably there was a knock on the coach's room door or wherever we were when we were playing a game, and Alex used to write these little things on us. He'd get tape, he'd put on his shoe, and he'd write these little inspirational things for himself. I really thought that was cool. I mean, that was the way he got himself going and motivated. But he never had a Sharpie, so I brought this for you. That's all on the side, and it's funny. What I remember most, and what I will always remember most, Alex, is you worked very hard. You always wanted to get better. And having a small team, it was difficult having enough kids to have, when you played defense, you would come off if you weren't on offense, and you came to me and said, what am I doing, what I should be doing? And I appreciate that, because I knew that you wanted to get better, and you did. And I want to thank you for your effort, just as all the other seniors. Thank you.
Beautiful man.
How we doing, guys? I'm Coach Nick Golden. For those of you who do not know me, I was up in the booth with that madman for the whole season. And if you ever heard the obnoxious coach yelling, Nate Dog, that was myself. So that is who I am talking about this evening. I coached the big guys. I did O-line, D-line, and I worked with defense. So I love my big guys. And I had the privilege to work with Nate. Okay? Anytime Nate would move, it was at like a NASCAR speed. You know, my man loves NASCAR so much that if I ever have to go like on a trivia show or I have to phone a friend, he's the first person I will call. So, dubbed the nickname NASCAR Nate. So whenever he moved, you would always hear, meow. That was Nate moving up and down the field at practice. We were sticklers about how the kids were in their stances, how they lined up, and whenever Nate would get into games, there was different holes in techniques, and I could see him going up there and pointing down the line to make sure he was lined up correctly, and the play's about to start, and I'm screaming from the booth, Nate, just get lined up, Nate. And he would get down there and do his best, and I love that. Each and every day he would try so hard. Something I always remember too is Nate with his equipment. I led the warm-ups too, and I have so bad OCD that all the kids are lined up perfectly, their helmets are lined up, I'm very organized. Nate would come down every day to practice. Coach, I don't have this pad today. Hey, I need a mouthpiece. But what I notoriously remember from Nate, every single day till the last practice of the season, my man had his practice jersey on backwards. So where the V, that was in the back and it was real tight, I'm like, you know what, that's him. Okay? And he worked so hard for me. so happy for him, just that he got to play. And I know the wins and losses didn't show it this year, but the bus rides, the practices, the locker room time, just getting to work with everyone on this team, especially Nate. He would always say in practice, "Coach, this one's for you." I'm like, "All right, man, go out there and get after it." So I'll end on this one. Nate, this one's for you, buddy.
Okay, it's my turn.
All right.
So now I know probably Dylan, of course, everybody, oh my goodness, what's he going to say about me? I didn't pick you, Dylan. I picked Kevin Anderson. Now I took a little bit of a different approach as to what I was going to do about Kevin. Because I was like, what can I say that no one else really knows? So I thought, well, I'd investigate Kevin and see what I can find out. What I did was, I did that. I called a lot of people. I was creeping on Kevin. You don't know I was creeping on him. I started creeping on him to find out, what can I find out about Kevin? Now, I know some of the boys, and you parents probably don't know, that at times I come up to your sons and I say things to them that they don't think that I know. And it often makes them wonder, how does he find out? Well, I will never tell. But I seem to know things about the boys. I pick up on little things and I just keep it inside until the minute and I let them have it. Ask them boys sitting there, they're chuckling right now. I got them before this all started. So I decided I was going to look into Kevin. So when Kevin would come to practice every day, the exciting thing for us always was, what color was Kevin's hair going to be? So we come in today that Kevin is his breast cancer awareness hair. So we can appreciate that. So what I found about Kevin, his mom is Dawn, his dad is Kevin Sr. He has two brothers, Cody and Tristan. Now Kevin tries to be the role model for them, and we appreciate that. Kevin tries to do everything right so that his brothers can have someone to look up to. I found out that Kevin was born on March 13, 2002, which isn't anything startling. But at 1:41 in the morning, he was born. So now Kevin's sitting there wondering, how exactly does Coach Cat know I was born at 1:41? Again, that's my secret. You guys can find out on your own. But Kevin attends the Christian Assembly of God Church, where he always goes to youth group, and he's very faithful in going there all the time. He's in the marching band. Now for Kevin, that was kind of two things he had to do during the football game. Kevin would play in the game, then at halftime he couldn't go and take a break like the rest of the boys. Kevin would march in the band and he'd play the drum, which is obviously phenomenal because he would play the game, then he would do the band, and he never got a break. So Kevin was constantly on the go. In his spare time, he also likes to play the guitar. So he's obviously a very talented young man. When football season started, Kevin wasn't coming around a lot, so you would call Kevin, "Hey Kevin, where the heck are you at?" Well, Kevin was working. Kevin works to help support his family. He was working as a dishwasher at the Century Inn. So Kevin gave up his job to come play for us, and we appreciate that. So now Kevin is trying to get a job at the Blue Beacon. So if anyone knows anyone at the Blue Beacon, let's speak up for Kevin and get his butt employed there, right? So I try to get these boys employed and keep them busy. But as far as football goes, Kevin has played football for 3 years for us. Now when Kevin first came out, he hadn't played football before, and he decided he wanted to be a wide receiver and a defensive back. So we would laugh when Kevin would try to catch the ball. I always described it looked like he had two flippers in his hand because his hand would just go everywhere. But as the years had gone by, Kevin got pretty proficient at catching. Now, unfortunately, couldn't even get a catch in the game, but you could just see he was growing and getting better and getting better. And he was very good for us on special teams. But during the games, I was always on the sidelines. And when I could see someone limping, or I could see the downs lead up to where Kevin might be in, I always turn around and say, "Kevin, stick with me." So I'd be going up and down the sidelines, and I'd keep bumping into Kevin. I'd be like, "Crab and eat, Kevin, you're underneath my feet." And he'd be like, "Well, Coach, you said stay with you." And I'm like, "Oh, I guess that's my fault." So for me to look back on Kevin, a couple of things will always ring true. Kevin is very dedicated when he decides to do something. He's very family oriented, and he really loved to play football. So for that, I thank you, Kevin.
Here we go. What do you have on?
Thank you. Hey, good evening, folks. First off, I just wanted to say thank you to the boosters and the parents. Being a holdover coach from the previous coaching staff, I've had a chance to work with a lot of you over the past 4 years, so it's not just 1 year, so thank you. I know it takes a lot when you have a small school with a small team, with a small group of parents and a small coaching staff, it takes a lot of hands, and you guys always put on a class act, and you've supported us each and every way we could only imagine. So thank you so much for that. Second of all, I want to make sure that I set the record clear. I do not have glaucoma or have a problem with my eyes. Most of you may not recognize me because typically during Friday nights, I wore sunglasses. These guys may understand this, and it became somewhat of a distraction. I do have a vice. I probably have 35 or 40 pair of sunglasses, and these guys at each one of the practices would always want to try them on and so forth. So it kind of became something that you could actually work as a distraction, so I didn't want to see. And I had to keep ordering different lenses because you can't see at night real well with some of these different type of lenses. The funny thing is, lo and behold, about halfway through the year, I ended up scratching my eye and having an abrasion and had a sensitivity to light. So I did actually have to wear the sunglasses for a few games. So my senior that I would like to speak on behalf of today is wide receiver defensive back number 12, Dylan Farkas. Now again, some of you may have heard me hollering from the sidelines, especially the last few games, donut, donut, donut. There is a story behind that. We have a tackling donut that we practice tackling on, and for some reason, Dylan had this great affliction with this tackling donut. And he had many bouts with this donut. He would talk to the donut. And there were many times that the donut actually won when we had some of these drills. So he started to become a donut. Then halfway through the year, you folks saw the apparatus that he had to wear in his hand. It kind of looked like a puff pastry. So it kind of looked like a donut as well. And then, honestly, I mean, I started coaching him, like when I first showed up, I was the JV freshman coach. He was about 5'7", 120 pounds soaking whites. He needs to eat a lot more donuts. So, in terms of Dylan, again, I've had the opportunity to coach him for 4 years. As a freshman, we kind of were trying to find the places to where he could play. We had a number of more kids back then. We tried him at running back a little bit, and it wasn't a great fit, so we moved him to wide receiver, and he was still working on his catching. But the one thing that you could always see is this kid could run. He has an extra gear that most people don't have. So as we got into his sophomore year, again, he put on a little bit of size, he became a little bit more plugged in. He actually started to see some playing time and actually became part of a pretty prolific passing game that we had that particular year. I think he scored his first touchdown, kind of got on a highlight reel play against Best Center, I think, at WJ, about the 4th or 5th game of the year. And actually, by the end of the year, he started to play a little bit both ways. So as a sophomore, like we have in terms of low numbers, he was able to start getting experience then. His junior year, we were waiting for great things to happen. I'll never forget one of the memories I have is I was calling the offense at our first 7-on-7, coming out, we're doing a spread formation up at a passing, and I'm nervous. What are you going to call the first play of the season? And I said, you know what, we'll just run a simple slant play. So came out, Sean actually read it perfectly, hit Dylan, and he was gone. I mean, just gone afterwards. And all they had to do was like grab a flag or something. They didn't have to do much. And the one coach came out and said, what grade is that kid in? Where did he come from? So Dylan basically just wiped out, and again, I think it was a triple A school or quad A school. Again, we started to see those type of plays over and over and over again. I think the Carlton scrimmage, also West Green, he ended up scoring a touchdown early on. And then probably the biggest competitor that we would never think that we would have happen with Dylan is the injury bug. I think he ended up missing half of his junior year because of a leg injury. And again, he'd earned a starting spot and had done so well. So it's like, okay, get him healed up and get him back for his senior year. So we come out for the senior year, and you know what? Same thing happens. We go into the first scrimmage, bam! We end up getting West Green or the Brownsville game, and we'll talk about that in a little bit. And you can see the big play potential. And the same thing, he ends up having a fractured hand. Dylan fought through injuries the entire year. Everybody saw the donut type thing he had on his hand that he had to play with. And there were times he said, Coach, the only thing I was worried about was just holding on to the football. Because there were times he was running against Sharkeers, he probably would have scored, but the ball was jiggling every time. He probably should have moved with the other hand. But yeah, but just he was having a rough time doing that. But Dylan fought through those injuries, and he actually saved the best for last. If you look at the last 2-3 games of the season, he had his personal best. And basically, if you look at those 3 games in particular, I think in Class A football, he probably led the league. To the extent that at the end of the year, you had your personal highs in receptions and yards at the Jefferson Morgan game. The other thing is, and I'm not sure that you are even aware of this or not, but if you look at all the Class A wide receivers and the top 15 people or the top folks that had more than 15 catches, Dylan Farkas was the WPIL Class A leader in yards per catch for anybody that had more than 15 catches. He was in the top 5. He was in the top 5 for all classes. So if you go Class 8 or whatever the highest class is, he was in the top 5 in terms of the statistics for most yards per catch. And the other thing is he will always be in the Bentworth record books unless they change something for the longest kick return in Bentworth high school history. Now they actually say it was 100 yards. I think there's a few of us that actually think it started with 102, but that wouldn't be legal. So actually he will always be in the record books with respect to that in terms of highlights. To close up with Dylan, a couple of weeks ago, just sitting around, he reached out to me and he said, "Coach, I'm missing it." And I sent him a message back and said, "Yeah, I can understand that. But now I think it's the right time to tell him, Dylan, the Bentworth Bearcats are going to miss you. So you made us a much better team when you were on the field, and I thank you for all the work over the past 4 years and all the memories."
Okay. I prepared to follow the rules and only do 1 or 2 minutes, so I apologize. So the last thing I'm going to be doing, our quarterback, Sean. It's very hard to teach quarterback new things coming in. You had your own good habits, you had your own bad habits. When I first met you in May for mini camp, I didn't know what to expect. Coming in new, you thoroughly blew me away with your abilities. I never had worked with a quarterback that was solely a quarterback. I was thoroughly impressed with you from May. And I think as the season went along, the cow game with the ability to make your reads and all those kinds of things, I was thoroughly impressed. And so that's a testament to you taking our coaching and being a good player. A couple other notes that I had for you was that I tried to ask Coach Knabbs if he got it to you or not, but the last week of our season against Jeff Morgan, you were the #1 local passer. I can't look this up because I don't necessarily know where it would be, but I don't know if Bentworth has ever had that before. So that's something to always keep with you. The last thing I really had is that I fully expect you to be playing next year. You have that ability. Take advantage of what football provided to you to go to the college level. And that goes for all of you guys. Quick thing about me is I went to Bethany. I'd have never went to Bethany if it wasn't for football. So point being is use the ability of playing football or basketball, take your visits, go to college, and see where you want to go. So thanks, Sean.
I think this is the open time. If there's a player that has an appropriate story to tell, a highlight appropriate, gentlemen.
Yeah, so anybody have anything? You've been a senior, go ahead, Nick.
The mud. So Coach Gordon. Alright, so I'm surprised he didn't say his story, because I was actually kind of hoping he was. It was one of our only rainy practices, and I was really hungry. I'm always hungry. And I couldn't get food that day. So I saw Coach Temp, I believe, he had a mint. So I was happy. I was a happy camper. So I went up to him and I asked him, "Can I have your mint?" He's like, "Yeah." I had a special helmet for linemen because my head was so huge, they had to go and get a special helmet. So I ended up lifting my head up, I believe, and just shoving. No. The face mask was like very small. I put it in there and I dropped it on the ground. And I looked on the ground and I made this oddest sound. I don't even remember what I said. And I was sad. Then I picked it up and I got it in my mouth.
Hey, buddy, long story short, you lifted your head up and just reached over your
Yes. I forgot where I was going now. But, you know, it was an interesting year for my first and only year playing football. I had some times where my anger got the best of me, and you know, football is a hell of a sport, and I honestly wish I could have played a little bit more, because I love hitting people. Thank you guys.
Alright, I was gonna start with like, I was in my first year playing football, and I mean, I didn't really know what to expect. I figured, I mean, we were low on numbers, and I mean, it's my senior year, so I mean, I just wanted to get it out, go do something fun, not drugs or anything like that, so I just played some football. But the best thing about football is, like, you have like friends in school, and like, you're out there, it's a different experience because you're going out there and getting hurt. And like, you're like right next to like your best friends like playing an awesome sport. And like, I have a memory with Nick. Out of all people, it's Nick. We were on the line and we got totally blasted off our feet. And I looked over at Nick's beautiful face when we were on the ground, and I couldn't even see Nick. It was just like a thing of grass. Like he like ate the whole field. And I just like my ears were ringing, and I'm just laying on the ground. And I'm just like, Nick, are you alright? And I just seen Owen just disappear into the distance with the ball, and it's just like you get a different understanding of like what the sport is like with like all your friends, because you can see how they really act like in stressful situations with. Like, I mean, you're out there with other kids banging helmets, so I mean, it shows who the real fighters are and how true they are and how they're willing to back you up in any situation. I mean, I was out there ready to scrap for Sean any moment, and it's just awesome how it brings everybody together and all the fun times during practices. I mean, you got back at school, you go to practice, and we'd have like dumb stuff going on in the locker room, like what the heck, why are we doing this? Like the slip and slide. I'm not going to go into details on that, but that was pretty messed up. That was pretty low in the football, but I mean, for Owen and Trent and Trevor and all that next year for the young kids coming up, I mean, I don't have a whole lot of football experience, but I hope the best for the program and that they can do good things next year. I hope whatever my impact was this year, I hope it helps the kids coming up, and like me leaving, hopefully didn't leave too big of an impact on everybody else. But I think Dylan wants to say something next, so we're just gonna go. Dylan, get up here. Dylan, get up here. It's all right.
Talk about the mud at practice.
Dylan's coming up.
Come on, guys.
Alright, I'm not gonna lie, I really don't know what to say here. But, first of all, I'm gonna look at Billy. Me and Billy always bumped heads throughout football. We're gonna miss it. Especially on the way to Leechburg when Nab kept yelling at us. Thanks, Mr. Nab. Then, I'm gonna look at Trent and Owen. Played with them for about 11 years. Owen, I don't know. Like, gym class is something else. Did I miss her now? Yeah. Alright. Anyways, I just had a good season. Didn't play too much. I was always hurt. Yeah. Not too big. But I'm gonna have a good season. Well, I hope you guys have a good season next season. What? Alright. I'll be back next year. I think Fraka wants to say something.
Sean, you're next.
So honestly, I don't have anything to say. I just want to say like,
Say something.
I am saying something. But being my first year here at like playing football, it was really a good experience. I love the team, my teammates, and I think that I will miss this most of all. Yeah.
Sorry, buddy.
Yeah.
He's off the hip.
Come on, Master. Come on, you have to get it.
See, I wasn't expecting to talk. I guess, so these 3 years of me playing, like Coach Knabbs said, when I first came, I had no experience at all. And through these past 3 years, just all the team and the coaches building me up, making me progress. I want to thank all you guys. And, you know, my team, you're like brothers. And I wish you the best of luck next year and the years to come. Sean?
I want to share my favorite memory was with Owen.
Oh yeah, all right. Just because you guys are slipping slide in the shower.
Against Bentworth on senior night, and in the middle of the play, I just hear some kid screaming, Sean, Sean, Sean! So I just throw it up to Owen, and he always hits the goalpost and scores. And then you hear Tim, he's open, he's open, he's open! That's all.
How about some underclassmen?
Yeah,
Anything
get up
you
there,
guys would like to
underclassmen.
say?
Come on, Billy, do something. Get out of here.
Nowhere near Skylar in here.
So guys, how you guys doing today? Swell.
Hi.
I'm Miss Fraka. I mean, Fraka was really cool, really good, and he was an awesome wide receiver, and I wish he played more. Nate, I love you, man. You always had the most funniest comments ever in football, literally. Kevin, I just love your hair. Like, it's so awesome. Noah, me and you've had our shared fights throughout the season, but you know, we hugged it out, brothers. Dylan, I'm gonna miss you most of all. I've known you the longest. You're really good wide receiver. Bruno, I hate you.
All right, I'll go.
Talk that.
No, Trent's going.
Not hate on any of you other seniors, but Dylan was my favorite. Mostly because he was like a brother to me. Like he was the closest one to me on the team. He was the hardest hitter, in my opinion, probably the best player. I'm gonna miss you next season, dude.
Don't you said the hope.
What?
Alright, let's go to Trent. No sleep, bud.
Alright, I'm just gonna say it. Everybody's heard about the slip and slide of the whole entire banquet. Alright, I'm just clarifying what happened. So, I think it was the one day after one of our really muddy practices, there was a good bit of us in the shower. Owen had this great idea that we was going to slide across the floor. So we all like don't push open around. Owen dives across the floor, and he slid across the whole entire locker room. It wasn't like it was an obvious thing, like he was just some kid stuff. But, alright, forget about that. So, anyway, I will say that this is probably one of my most favorite years of football. I had made some new friends this year, like Nacho, Nate, and Fraka. I really had never talked to them before, but throughout this year, I had learned what great people they are, especially Nate. I learned a lot about him this year. But this will be one of the hardest years going because I played at Dillon my whole life, and it's just going to be weird playing without him next year, because my first year without football with him. So I wish him luck in the rest of his career, whatever he decides to do, but I thank everybody for this great year of football. Your turn.
Go, Owen, go.
You breathe. It's all right. Don't pass out. Don't walk your knees. Hey, did you stretch before you did this? What? Did you stretch?
Drink all water, go drink.
Yeah. What?
Tell me about the food store.
Okay, so I'll tell this story. So last year, before we played a Bella, me and Sean went to Subway. You know, I got a foot long sandwich, and I was like, okay, yeah, good idea. I've done it before. So I'm playing. We just halftime just ended. I get up to the field. We start the second half. I'm like, oh, my stomach hurts. This ain't good. So we're playing, and I look at Coach. I go, I gotta go to the bathroom. It ain't waiting. So mid-game, I go, Coach Cab, hold my helmet. I just take off right to the porta john. That happened there. Come back out, it was bad, but it was definitely it was my best game of the year, by far. By far, best game of the year. It was just not, my stomach hurt the whole game. After the game was bad too. But anyway, I'm gonna miss all these seniors, Fraka, Nate, Kevin, Noah, Dylan. Sean, I'm gonna miss him, definitely. Noah and Sean and Dylan, gonna miss the most. I've known them the longest. These two I've become great friends with. But you three, I'll miss you the most. Sean a little more, because he's the quarterback, you know, good connection. But you have a lot to live up to. I expect something.
See it in the paper.
Your turn, Trevor.
Yeah, where's Trevor at?
Yeah, come on, Trevor.
Come on, Trevor. You're up.
Full-time football. Yeah.
I'd just like to say thank you to all the coaches. I'm the player that comes to practice and I kind of stand around.
Do something! Trevor, do something!
So I got a lot of time to talk to the coaches. You know? And I would just like to say thank you to all of them for putting up with me, because I mess with them a lot. You know, I say things I probably shouldn't. They kind of look at me. I'm like, what are they gonna do? I'm the kicker. What are they gonna do? So, but I would like to thank my special teams coaches for letting me kick a lot this year. Bentworth really had a history not letting kickers kick that much. I mean, Levi, he was a very good kicker. He didn't get kicked that much, but I like to thank them for letting me have the opportunities to do that, and hopefully some more next year. So, thank you.
Trevor should be sincere apology for breaking my hand about here.
I was going to say, if it got to me, I was going to say.
Put your next. Put your next.
Go up.
First, I want to thank all the coaches, especially Coach Golden. I mean, we had a good relationship. I really liked it. He showed me a lot of new things in football. Sean over there, man, we had a relationship. Let me tell you, especially under center. You got a little walk in there. I'm like, Sean, you gotta let him breathe a little, you know? Man, you always said the funniest things. I mean, if I was having a bad day and I come to practice and I just see you and you say something funny, it just made my day.
What was the funniest thing I said?
Oh no! We don't need to admit it.
I'm definitely gonna miss all you seniors, especially Noah, Sean, Dylan. I mean, Dylan, he's just crazy sometimes, especially Noah. He's got all the energy out there screaming. I don't even know. He just goes after everyone. I just want to thank everyone. Thank you.
Let's go, Butch! Looks like the whole meeting's coming up. Hey, boys.
Alright, so I wasn't really expecting to say anything today, but so all these seniors, great, all of them, love them all.
Sean, better have that red jersey. It's clean. Nice and squeaky clean. Dylan, all the time we've had when we would just pretend to block each other on the wide receivers. Yeah. Good old Noah. Yeah, just pounding, punching the dirt that day. I didn't know what you were doing.
Yeah, you kind of look like a lobster.
No, yeah, good old lobster claw. So yeah, it was a good year. I had a very good year. I have a lot of good memories that I'm gonna have forever with you guys. It's great. Fraka, all the good times we had. No, the locker room when I would be next to Nick and Trent over there. I'm just staring at my locker, you know, putting my stuff away. Nick with his shirt off. He was like, "What you doing, Nick?" No, I don't know, man. He was just freaking me out a bit. Yeah, but it's been a great year. Love you guys. I'm gonna miss you all, especially Sean. You guys are great. All right.
Are we getting to the favorites?
Sorry, dog.
Ethan, you talking?
Yeah. Get up there. Get up there.
Thank you.
Just get talk.
Okay, you eat them.
The thing I had was Nick and Mud. That was it.
So let him finish up if you'd like to go last.
I just want to talk about what Noah did at one of our practices. It was like a rainy, muddy day, and
I remember this.
Noah beat him. We didn't want to move about like 3 spaces to the left or the right. So we were doing our stretches, and we get to the ground. Noah's in a big old mud puddle. No, I'm moving it up. Talking to the microphone. Just Noah goes, we go to do our push-ups and all that. Noah just straight up puts his entire face into the mud. Makes everyone's day. But if we were doing our cobra stretches, he's just sitting there.
Talking to the
microphone. He just smacks the mud right into his face.
Take the microphone.
And I just want to say I love all you guys and thank you for having the first year of my experience. Not you, Sean. You do all that passion to me. Ethan, go! Ethan, go! Go! Ethan, go! Come on! Ethan, go! Ethan, go! Ethan!
RPS right now.
Yes or no? All right, so we're going to move right along, okay? So, high school is, you know, some people as adults, we look back at our high school years and there are some things that really stand out to you and then some things that are like, I am never going to relive that. And I believe that you guys have kind of learned to build on each other. And that's the coolest experience you can have, sportsmanship. And your coaches really have impacted your life in a way that you'll understand someday, just not quite now. So just be really appreciative of who has led you and where they've brought you to. So we're going to move along and give our awards out and our gifts to the seniors. So seniors, you not only get your banner in front of you, you get your football that you're able to have your team sign, and the care boxes for grad parties, that kind of stuff. It's a cool keepsake. But you're also going to get your jerseys for the year. Up here, guys. Yeah, so the jerseys, and you're also going to have a program. So our first high school senior is Noah Kellerman. Your jersey will have your last name on it. Next one is Kevin Anderson. Mr. Fraka. Nathan. Sean. And Dylan Farkas. Now again, because of how well we did, we not only got the seniors, high schoolers will be given a second gift. We have also got you guys gym bags with Bentworth football engraved on the side. So all high schoolers will get that. Now, names are not on them, just it says Bentworth football. Every high school player will get not only their hoodie, but they will also be given their gym bag. Next, if you can hold your applause till the end, just till we get all through the high schoolers. O'Regan.
There's two of them.
Sorry, yeah. Yes,
okay.
buddy, come on up.
It's O'Regan.
O'Regan.
Just so you know.
Sorry. Trent Kavanaugh. Mr. Richardson. Right over here.
It's a good idea, sir.
Patricic. Your names for every single player, even the middle school, are written on your sidearm with your football numbers. Patricia, okay. Menzer? Nathan Menzer? Nick Scarpa? Darius Rockwell? Caleb Peternell? Billy Leach? Mr. Seth Adams? Ethan Heinrich? Ethan Lukatich? I think the other O'Regan, which is Darius, right? Damon, sorry, I'm so sorry. I have D on here. Mr. May and Mr. McGowan. Cameron.
It's a colored patch. I never was. And you get your number on your plate.
Okay, the middle schoolers, which was led by Coach Hildreth. He is unable to be here tonight, so we are going to present it to the middle schoolers. Angel Chastain. Chastain. Elijah, are you here? Well, either of them, I think they're brothers. Vitaly Daniels. Not here. Tristan Hackinson. All right. Ryan Hawley, Ryan Hess, Abraham House, Vinny Logan, Benjamin Lukatich,
Yeah, Ben.
Wyatt,
Let's go, Ben.
Markovich, Christian McLean,
Am I?
Jonas Navrat, Patrick Goreski, Drew Patricic, Gavin Piasecki, Alex Rosilko, Dayton Simmons, sorry.
Yeah, it's on mine.
Mr. Spencer, if you're here. Welcome Wood. Lucas Burt. and Dom Wright. We are excitedly waiting for our middle schoolers to join us on the high school field as well. Another person or another group that we do want to honor is our cheerleaders. We appreciate all our cheerleaders, and cheerleaders have not been ones that have been honored very much, and they do a lot. So this year we have chosen to honor our middle school, our high school cheerleaders. Sage, I'm just going to list the ones that were here. All of them were given gifts as well. Riley, Brenna, Madison, Sarah, Michaela, and Reagan. Anyone else? Those are the ones. Thank you, girls, for all your cheering time. Okay, so just a couple housekeeping as you leave tonight. If you have not turned in your Cash Bash tickets for February, please be in touch with one of us boosters. It's very important that those get to us as soon as possible is best. And also, if you've not signed up for the Cash Bash for February, we have a sign-up sheet right now, and we'll be in touch with you as a reminder closer to the date. And the last thing, again, be looking around mid-March for you seniors for our scholarship information given to the office. And don't forget, team, before you leave, to make sure and sign the footballs for our seniors. Thank you all for such a great season and a wonderful night.